This conference will now be recorded.
All right, we're all being recorded now. All right, good morning, everybody. It is 9:31. I will call this meeting to order and then open the floor for any public comment. Anybody in the public here wish to speak? James, is there any public comment online? No. All right, seeing none, we will move to agenda item 3, which is the staff update. It's pages 6 through 7 in your packet. And on the screen, you'll see our upcoming meeting dates. As you'll see on the meeting schedule, our May dates have been pushed back. That's actually one of the upcoming agenda items. We also have the federal certification review that's going to be going on in May. The review team will actually be here in person that last week of May, and we'll be in our policy board meeting just watching, and then they'll be touching base with a few policy board members for their input on the K-Tempo and our processes. And then we also have our air quality readings, which were 69 and 66 parts per billion. And I will open for any questions on staff update. All right, moving right along. Agenda item 4 is an action item regarding approval of the minutes from the March 2nd, 2022 meeting. This is pages 10 through 12 in your packet. Are there any revisions needed to the minutes that anybody sees? Any discussion on the minutes? If there aren't any, I will entertain a motion. I have a motion. Second. And a second. All right. Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay. Agenda item 5 is a discussion and action item regarding the rescheduling of the May TAC and Policy Board meeting dates. Staff are proposing that we push both the TAC and Policy Board meetings in May back 1 week. The reason for this is we have two conferences for staff that staff need to attend. One is a TxDOT planning conference, and the other is the AMPO conference. It says it's going to be in Fort Lauderdale, but I believe I'll now have a virtual option to attend to the portion of my meeting I needed to be to at that. So I may not need to go, but we would still like to push that back just additionally because the federal certification review team will be here that following week and would like to see a policy board meeting in person. So staff are just requesting that we approve the reschedule of the May dates.
The TxDOT training is something that you recommend for any of board members to go to as well, or?
No, it would just be staff. Okay. Yeah. All right. Any questions? Discussion?
The major items that are scheduled for the 11th.
For the TAC. Oh, for the TAC. James,
Yeah.
We have the tip.
Will be, preliminary approval of the tip. We'll probably still be going through the public comment period, but we'll be towards the end of it. And so it'll be the final tip that we will submit to TxDOT for FY 23 to 26.
Any other questions, concerns, discussion? If not, I will entertain a motion to recommend the change of dates to policy board.
I'll make a motion to change the dates as proposed.
I have a motion.
Okay.
And I have a second. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? All right. Thank you, everybody. And agenda item 6 is a discussion and action item regarding resolution 2022-06 declaring May 2022 as National Bike Month. James?
Yes, this is a resolution that we agree toward the TAC and policy board each year to support May as National Bike Month. It's been National Bike Month since 1965. There's some dates listed there, and staff has presented this to the BPAC for them to approve, and we're working with BPAC members to support local events that are happening in the Killeen-Temple region. And we encourage all entities, member entities, to also support bike events as there are opportunity and availability.
Thank you, sir. Any questions about the resolution?
Just one comment, we talked about this at DPAC, recommended it as well. Can't speak for any other members, but to our Parks and Rec public relations people, see if they can't start scheduling some events or this social media, just to promote the bicycle activities.
Fantastic. Any further discussion on this item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to recommend approval of the resolution. I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed? That motion carries. All right, moving right along. All right, agenda item 7, which is just a discussion item. This is regarding Kimley Horn's presentation on the performance measures dashboard tool. We do have the folks from Kimley Horn here in person. They are going to go through their, they've been doing multiple dashboard projects for us. This is the performance measures dashboard they've been working on. So they're going to walk everybody through that and show everybody what they've done. And I will transition over to Dan with Kimley Horn.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Malson. For those who haven't yet, I work with Kimley Horn. I'm the project manager supporting Killeen-Temple as they develop dashboards that allow the agency as well as decision makers and members of the public and regions to view data and gain insight into it. So we presented already on 2 separate dashboards that we developed back in February. We presented on the crash records information system dashboard, and in March we presented on the American Community Survey census data dashboard. This month we wanted to give a presentation to the TAC on the latest dashboard that we worked with Killeen-Temple to develop. And that dashboard is a dashboard that will help the Killeen-Temple team with their annual performance reporting requirements to the federal government. So the federal government requires that each NPO as well as DOT report on 3 performance measures each year as a part of their reporting in order to stay in good standing. That first performance measure is related to safety. So each MPO across the state of Texas and across the country is required to report on their progress on how many fatalities and how many serious injuries in terms of traffic safety related incidents have occurred, both on a pure numbers basis and on a per million vehicle miles traveled basis. And they're also required to report on how many bicyclist or pedestrian fatalities or serious injuries occur. That's the first performance measure. The second performance measure relates to asset condition. So both in terms of bridges, what is the state of bridges within the region in terms of good standard? Are they considered in good condition, fair condition, or poor condition when viewed from a structural standpoint, bridges and elements of bridge? Related to that, in a similar vein, MPOs are also required to report on pavement condition across the region, and that data comes from TxDOT, but the MPO takes a look at that data and reports that to TxDOT, the federal government, to determine good standing. And then finally, the MPO reports on what's considered system reliability. So what is the state of congestion in the region? How reliable is a trip travel on a freeway or on a non-interstate national highway system road in the region? And related to that, how reliable is it of a trip is it for trucks that travel through the region? So each of these 3 areas, the MPO reports on each year. What we've done here is traditionally this report is typically put together in a PDF format, and folks will go out, find the data that they need, or get the data that they need from other sources, and put that together. What we've sought to do with this dashboard is we've sought to create a structure that allows that data as it comes in to be dropped into a SharePoint site, and then you refresh the dashboard, and that additional year's worth of data is available to the public and to MPOs, and be able to go back easily and look at previous year's data to track performance. So with that, that's sort of a high-level overview of what this dashboard is. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Caroline Horn, or Caroline Leonard, that's my friend Caroline Horn. And she's going to actually give a little bit more of a detailed walkthrough of the dashboard. If there are any technical questions on the specific performance measures and how they're calculated, I'm happy to answer those later as well. So, Caroline, my apologies. I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back. Caroline Leonard, for those who I haven't met. I'm just going to lead a brief demonstration of the pages that we've pushed through. So, starting off with the safety page, as Dan mentioned, this page shows fatalities and serious injuries, both total and separated out for bicycle and pedestrian. This page also links to the previously presented CRIS dashboard that goes more into detail on the crashes throughout the region. This page defaults to showing the fatalities by year, but you can also select these buttons to switch to the crash rate view. So this shows fatalities per million vehicle miles traveled by year, basically normalizing the number of crashes by the number of vehicle miles traveled in that year to lead to a more consistent comparison. You'll notice that the bicycle and pedestrian visual does not appear on this view because that isn't measured based on per vehicle miles traveled, but the other two graphs do appear in both. These cards here show the trends over time. So red indicates that it's an upward trend year over year. Green indicates a downward trend. Currently, we're showing 2019 versus 2020. If you wanted to go back in time and look at 2019 versus 2018, you would select those 2 years in the slicer and see how those trends changed as well. You can go down here and clear your filters and just revert back to the standard view. So this is probably most useful for K-Tempo, but if you're another stakeholder and you want to see maybe what's going on just in the city of Belton, you can do that, and it will change all the visuals on the page to reflect Belton data. Performance metric 2A assesses bridge condition, as Dan mentioned. The default view shows just national highway system bridges because that's what K-Tempo reports on. The data set includes all bridges, so you can select this button to see all the bridges in the region instead of just the NHS ones. This table allows you to see if the region is meeting the goal or it's not meeting the goal. Since all the cells are green, that indicates that it is meeting the goal every year. If you wanted to see maybe all the bridges in Bell County that are county owned, you could see that those comparing to the K-Tempo performance metric goals are not meeting those goals, but obviously it's not as applicable because those aren't county specific goals. So you can clear all filters just to revert back to the standard page. The two graphs show the trends over time for good and fair condition bridges versus poor condition bridges. And you can also just sort by condition to see where those are populated on the map. Performance measure 2B assesses pavement condition for interstate highways as well as non-interstate national highway system highways. So this data set is reported at an MPO level, so you don't have the ability to slice by county or city like in the other two tabs. But you do still have the ability to see how the region is performing compared to the goals in the top right. So down at the bottom, you see the current performance, which will automatically generate the the most recent statistics. So for this particular data set, we only have 2017 and 2020 data, but as more data comes in, the graph will update, and these measures down here will also update. Lastly, the system reliability performance measure looks at travel time reliability for both interstate and non-interstate travel time, as well as truck highway travel time. So down at the bottom, you have your goal and how the region is performing on average in the year that's shown. So default view shows 2021 data, but you can select past year's data if you're interested in historic trends. And again, this data is reported at the MPO level, so you don't have the ability to slice between county and city. But it does give an overview of how the region is performing and has performed. So yeah, so that's the overview of the pages that anybody wants me to revisit.
Yes, on bridge condition under counties, was Lampasas there or?
Good question. Yeah, so Lampasas is not included in this data set for some reason. The TxDOT bridge data does include Lampasas, but TxDOT data only comes in every 2 years. So based on conversations with K-Temple, we decided to go with this data set. While it doesn't include Lampasas bridges, there are only probably 6 Lampasas bridges in the other data set. So you're not missing out on too much data as a whole, but that is one of the downfalls of this data set, unfortunately. We have the page set up so that if in the future Lampasas bridge data does come in, it will show up on this page as well, but for now we don't have
Who's the, sorry,
I was gonna say, I thought I saw the city of Kent, which is all in Lampasas, but so that it's there, but there's no.
So we don't have a city slicer on this.
Well, I just thought I saw maybe another city.
Yeah, I think it must have been in the crash data.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the other thing about this dashboard. It differs from the other two in that every page has a different set of data, so they're not interacting with each other. Like the different tabs aren't interacting with each other like they were in the risk dashboard and the ACS dashboard. They're all kind of standalone pages.
I'm done.
no, my question is kind of jumping in your bandwagon is to contradict you a little bit. We're only losing 6 bridges, but those are important bridges for Temple. And that's something that this committee is trying to not exclude the small cities.
Yeah.
Just 'cause, well, it's only, you know,
Yeah,
we don't want to go that route. So my question is, who's the data owner? Is it the TxDOT district or is it the state bridge division? Who do we need to work with to get you guys that data so that their bridge data is available?
Because we're still part of this, yeah.
Right, yeah, no, that's a
Yeah,
great
I
question.
think it's important to address.
And to piggyback off that, I don't know if maybe, like he said, it's in a different district's data set.
It's,
Because we have
Data
two.
data came in at the national level. We filtered it based on latitude and longitude boxes to include Lampasas County, but
Nothing showed.
there's no Lampasas County in the data set. We did build a page based on the TxDOT data. So if K-Tempo is interested, we can definitely add in the TxDOT data page in addition to this page, just to add that extra Lampasas data.
the one thing that might be the difference is the rest of K-Tempo is all in the Waco TxDOT district and Lampasas County in the Brownwood TxDOT district. So that might be where that differentiation of data.
So with the data set that we're showing right now, this is the Federal Highway Administration's National Bridge Inventory. And I think when we were looking at the data, we're not sure if there might be like a coding error in that data set because it's based off of county codes within the state, and that county code just doesn't show up anywhere. With the TxDOT data set, it's put out by the TxDOT Bridge Division, so it's a statewide data set. So that data set does include the data. It may be, you're right, it may be that for some reason the Brownwood district may not be reporting that data to FHWA, but my guess would be that it's the TxDOT Bridge Division that's reporting it statewide rather than each district. But that is something that we can.
Well, if we can, then if we could have just another tab and we could say, National Highways data, and then the other one could be TxDOT data.
Yeah.
Just across the top, just so we can see, kind of, and be inclusive of those 6 to however many bridges.
Yeah, we already have that page, it's just hidden in the published version, so we can just
Okay.
unhide it, republish, and we're good to go. But yeah, thank you. Any other questions?
And I'd like to point out, if you could go back to the safety one, we had a conversation on this yesterday or the day before. When we first started working with this, we wanted to really find a way to track how we were falling in line with the performance measures that we adopted by resolution. Now, adopting the state targets creates a problem there because they're not K-Tempo specific. So as we move forward in the future to maybe define our own safety targets for our region, we'll be able to incorporate that information and kind of see where we're falling within the targets that we have set regionally, but we're unable to see it right now because we can't chop those targets down because they're state level, just so everybody's aware.
And this might be more for you than for them, but do we know why 2018 was such a much better year with less deaths and injuries? So we can try to.
We don't know, but we can.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. There's a massive drop.
Right.
On everything.
Well, in 2020 saw some weird patterns too. There was, and when I put myself on the spot, it was either fatalities spiked but serious injuries went down, or vice versa.
Yeah.
I looked at it a while ago and I haven't looked at it recently. There's some odd trends in the data that we think the pandemic spikes and stuff.
Yeah.
That, a lot of people were working from home or locked down or laid off. So, traffic volumes went down. So just statistically, less people could get in accidents. But, maybe the ones that did were worse.
Yeah. When I saw the dip, I assumed that was going to be 2020 underneath.
Yeah.
I looked down and saw it was 2018. Yeah, it's like, okay, I couldn't think of any reason why 2018 would have been dramatically safer than 2017 or 2019.
The other thing that'll be difficult, and I say this just having looked at this a few years ago when I was sitting 2 seats over, when you start to do statistical analysis, the state goal is like 2% or 3% reduction over the next, James?
I think it's 2.
2% over the trend line over 5 years from 2017 to 2022.
And that's based on 3,000 fatalities statewide per year. So large data sets, you get enough data that you can reasonably project out. And I know it well enough to understand it when it was explained to me by one of TxDOT's mathematicians. It's fit the data points to that line. If the data points are too far on either side of that line, it's not a good fit. It's not a good prediction. And what happens is you shrink the data set. We're down at 50, 40, 12 fatalities per year. Now your data is jumping around enough that it's difficult to project out. Okay, our rate is increasing by X number of fatalities per year. How are we going to reduce that by 2%? When just statistically you go back, we vary by 10% every year. We go up 10%, we go down 12%. So there's enough noise in our local data because it's a small data set. And I say that as, I don't know what the answer is to, can we scale the statewide goal down to say, we want to reduce fatality, we want to reduce, right. But how much if the accident fatality rate or the serious injury rate goes up 10% just because we have a noisy fluctuating data, do we scuff ourselves up because we didn't meet our goal?
Right.
How do we assess that? And we're looking at the same thing at the city level. Together a big mobility master plan. As goals, zero, vision zero, no fatalities. We know we're going to have fatalities. Don't want them, but how do we go back and assess? Is it down to specifically reading the crash reports? And maybe it's not the numbers, but maybe there's a specific area, there's a specific trend. alcohol related or texting and driving. And you know what? We're going to target texting and driving and maybe it's not road design, maybe it's education. But at that point, you're talking massive effort to go through and read all those crash reports, code out, the first harmful act. It becomes maybe more targeted, but maybe it's more accurate because you're not, well, 40, 50, how many fatalities per year we're going to do something about that. But this is the starting point.
And I think I'll plug something, we've been looking into a lot of the safety work. And one of the things that may represent an opportunity for a lot of the members, the member agencies, those of this committee. I think we're expecting next month, one of the pieces of the federal infrastructure bill is this Safe Streets and Roads for All grant program. That's going to be providing federal funding opportunities for municipalities or MPOs or counties that want to go out and develop their own data-driven safety action plan, or if they already have them on file, start to enact some of the recommendations in those plans. So it's something to keep in mind that there's interest from a safety standpoint for any of the member agencies that are part of this TAC, that there's a federal funding opportunity that'll provide up to 80% federal funding for the development of a plan like that, or the enactment of certain recommendations in that plan. This the CRIS dashboard is a great place to start. And if you're looking to put an application or a grant together, hey, we've got this data set that's already here, and we're already able to gain insights from it really effectively. I think it would make a very compelling aspect of a grant application. So there's an opportunity out there, and I encourage you all to go after it.
Does your safety dashboard, did that have heat maps in it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Which is another fantastic way of just targeting your efforts as a city or a region. Okay, where we know we've got limited amounts of money to spend in time and people. Where can we maximize that effort? And the heat map's a great way to do that.
Yeah. So here would be an example. So this is showing all the crashes, but maybe can we just go to Hamilton here? So, if you were to zoom in, and, if you want to pick a city or something like that, go past values, you can start narrowing this down. We've been working separately from this. One of the updates we gave with K-Tempo yesterday with staff for this meeting was we've been trying to add a little bit more functionality to this crash dashboard as time's gone on. And so K-Tempo is currently reviewing a few enhancements that we could potentially really quickly update so that there's some added functionality to these dashboards. But there are some heat map capabilities. One of the things is that we looked at is adding a heat map button to all of the maps on this. But yeah, you can go here. Go back. One other thing that's really useful is if this is too small, if you right click, you can go ahead and show out you view in a full window view. So you can zoom in a little bit more and get a little bit more detail on where the data is. So yes, there's to answer your question, there's a heat map view. There's some other functionality too that we're looking at it that we can provide an update on in a future meeting.
Fantastic. Thank you all. Any other questions or discussion on the dashboard? Any functionality you'd like to see or anything we're missing? We'll get the other map added.
Thank you for bringing that up. We want to make sure that all the members are represented in the show here. So
I share these with all of the elected officials out in El Paso County, and I know that's something they're noticed right away. Like, yeah. So.
Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, we can work on getting that second tab TxDOT data that's already there to show. Thank you, man.
Anything else? All right. Seeing none, we will move to agenda item 8, which is a discussion item regarding the TxDOT 2021 AADT review. Jane.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. This is something we've done the past couple of years. TxDOT, before they publish the traffic count data that they take every year, they give the MPOs and districts a chance to review them, and we can't give the cities access. What we've done last year, the year before, is offer the opportunity for cities to set up a meeting with us, and then we can go through your entity's traffic counts, just to kind of look and see if they seem accurate or if they seem off, and then we can make comments and provide those to TxDOT before they finalize the traffic counts. So come find me after this or shoot me an email if you're interested. The review period ends next Friday, so we need to schedule a meeting between now and then. And it's not required, just an opportunity if you're interested.
Thank you, James. Any questions on that? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to agenda item 9, which is regarding public input received through March 2022, and we have received none. So that was a very short agenda item. And agenda item 10 is member comments. Are there any member comments? All right, seeing none, no member comments, we will adjourn at 10:02. Thank you, everybody.